Morning, everyone.
Good morning,
Good
Rabbi.
morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishnah is Erevin, Parak Dalet, chapter 4, Mishnah Yud Aleph, Mishnah 11. Mi sheyatza chutz l'tchum. Somebody who went outside of the tchum. He walked beyond the 2,000 amis of his place. Afilu ama achas. Even if he only walked one amma out of it, lo yikanes, he cannot re-enter the tchum area. So he's got to, though he lives in a city, right? And in the city, you typically have the whole city. You have 2,000 amas beyond the city. He walked into Amma 2001. Okay. Now, once you do that, the halacha is that all you get is 4 cubits around you. Now, the 4 cubits around you that you get actually overlap into the area of the tchum. Nonetheless, the Mishnah says, lo yikanes. We don't say, well, once your 4 amas that you're given overlaps into the tchum, that we say it's like you never left, and it's considered like all one thing. Nope, the Tanna Kama says, lo yikanes, you cannot enter. Now, you will be entering the area that overlaps from the original tchum, and your 4 amas that overlap, you can go into that part, but beyond that, you can't. That's the Tanna Kama. Rabbi Eliezer says, Shtayim yikanes, shalosh lo yikanes. Eliezer says that if you're in 2 amas outside of the tchum, you could re-enter. If you're 3, you cannot. So Rabbi Eliezer, if you recall, was the one who held that if you walk outside of the tchum, you don't get 4 cubits all around you. Or actually, it's like the 4 cubits you get is, imagine a square of 4 cubits. You're standing in the middle of it. So how much of it do you really get in each direction? 2. So therefore, Eliezer says like this. If you are standing within 2 cubits of the tchum, so that means the 4 cubits that you get, or the 2 cubits in one direction that you get, overlapped the original, somewhat, even a little bit, the original tchum area, says Rabbi Eliezer, that's as if you never left it. You can go back in and walk the whole thing. But once you already hit the 3rd amma, right? So then it's beyond your 2 amas. Your area that extends for you around you, even if you're outside of the tchum, doesn't overlap into the original tchum area, then you can't enter. So that's so according to Rabbi Eliezer, the fact that they do overlap makes it be considered like one area, so to speak. It's like you never left, and therefore you can go back into the tchum. But once you're 2 or more away from the tchum, according to Rabbi Eliezer, you're going to be stuck with only getting 4 amas around you. Okay, that's the first part of the Mishnah. Now, it's important to remember, it's brought down here in the notes, that we learned previously that there is a situation where overlapping helps you be able to use the original tchum. And that was when you left the tchum to do a mitzvah, to save a life. So the halacha is that when you do that, we give you 2,000 cubits from where you are, even though you're beyond the tchum and you left beyond the tchum. But since you did it for a mitzvah, the Chachamim said, in where you are, you get 2,000 cubits all around you. And also, if any of those 2,000 cubits overlaps into the your original 2,000 cubits by your house or by your city, you can even go all the way back to the city. That's only there when you left because it was a mitzvah to leave. Here, that's not the case. Here, the case is you wandered out, weren't paying attention. The halacha there is, now you're stuck. So we have the machlekes is, in this case, do we say if there's any kind of overlap in the 4 amas, does it help you get back to the original, into your original tchum? That's the machlekes in the first half of the Mishnah. Next. Mi shehechshech chutz l'tchum. Somebody was trying to get to a place for Shabbos, and by the time it turned dark, he was outside of the tchum. So he's trying to get to a certain place, and he could not. He did not reach the tchum of that place before Shabbos began. Okay, he's stuck. Afila ama achas lo yikanes. If that happens to you, even 1 amma outside of the city, you cannot enter. Okay, so again, even though you're 1 amma outside of the city, you're not going to be able to go back and use the tchum of the city. We did learn previously that if you, if you'd been within the tchum of the city when Shabbos began, you would actually be considered part of the city and get the 2,000 cubits all around the city. But in this case, that's not what happened. You didn't reach the tchum. Meaning, if you're reaching the tchum, you don't have to be actually in the city to be part of the city's tchum. If you're traveling and you reach the tchum of the city, then it's like you're in the city. You get the whole city and its tchum. In this case, though, what happened is you missed it. You didn't enter the tchum. Or even just you went out. I'm out of the tchum. Nonetheless, not going to help. You're able to get back into the city. Now, the Bartanura points out, forgetting that really in this case, so good. So you're not getting. So you're 1 amma outside of the city's limits, out of the city's tchum, become Shabbos. You're not part of the city. How much do you get around you now? Where you are, how much do you get?
Is it one amma?
So you're not going to get only 1 amma. You always get 4 ammas, right? The question is, have this place where you're right now, has this become your place for Shabbos? Just where you are right now. Where you are right now, does it become your place for Shabbos? Which would mean that theoretically you could go into the city, but you still be limited.
Yeah.
It's not like the whole city. Your tchum ends inside the city, fine. But do you get a tchum around you or not? The Bartanura says no. Bartanura says in this case, in where you are, you did not acquire this as your residence for Shabbos. You were trying to get to the city, and then it turned dark on you. So that means that you really weren't planning on being in this spot for Shabbos. You were planning on being in the city, but you didn't make it. You can't get the tchum of the city because you're too far outside of the city. You're not within the city's tchum. At the end of the day, all you're going to get is your 4 amas around you, like anybody who walks outside of the tchum. So the person who walks outside of the tchum only gets dalet amas, and this person who was trying to get into the tchum, right, but he missed it because time ran out, is also only going to get dalet amas around him. Reb Shimon says, "Afilu chamesh esrei amas." Even if you are 15 amas away from the city limit, yikanes, you're still allowed to go into the city. Why? Because the people who do the measuring, the surveyors, do not do the measurement exact because of those who stray. Meaning, it was a common practice, right, in cities to actually, outside of the city, put up some kind of a sign, some kind of a sign that, okay, here's the end of the tchum. You know, in some places they have a sign, here's where the Erev ends, right? Here they would, in these places, they would put up a sign, this is where the tchum ends, okay? Well, if you walk out of that tchum, you're stuck, right? So Reb Shimon says like this, really? I'll let you know on a secret. Where the surveyors put up the signs, that's 15 amas, okay, earlier than the tchum, really. And the reason is because they, if you put up the sign right by the tchum, people aren't gonna, not really gonna walk up to the tchum and start, admiring the blue sky and find themselves walking outside of the tchum. Yeah. So in order to prevent that from happening to people, that they shouldn't accidentally walk outside of the tchum, they used to put the tchum marker earlier than it really should be. Why 15 amas? I don't know, but that's the amount that he says. So therefore, Shimon says like this: if you are a traveler, you were trying to make it to the city for Shabbos, and time ran out on you, and you find yourself within 15 amas of the city limits. Or you see the sign, right? It's over there. It's 15 amas away. You're good. You're still good. You can go into the city because you're really in the tchum. So you can go into the city. Now, Shimon agrees, though, that if you walked beyond that sign, if you walked out there, meaning here you're a traveler, you're trying to get there, time ran out. All right. We'll let you use the reality of where the tchum really is. But if you walked out of the tchum, when you were supposed to be careful about not walking out of the tchum, then it doesn't make a difference that you're really 15 amas. You really have 15 amas left. You're stuck there. That's like walking. That is like walking outside. That's like walking out. That's considered walking beyond the tchum, as if it was really the tchum, and you only get dalet amas. But Reb Shimon said, if you're a traveler and you got stuck on the road and you're within the 15 amas, you should know you're still really within the tchum, and you can go. You can continue. But the halacha is not like Reb Shimon. And therefore, the person traveling who is, as the Tanakhama says, you could just be 1 amma outside of the city's tchum, you are stuck there for Shabbos. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Very good.